I would like to invite Rao Cheragondla on stage. Rao is a board member at the IITBAA Area Association, and he is our CFO. He keeps us honest. He keeps close track of every penny that comes in, whether it is through sponsorships, ticket sales, startup showcases, and all our other sources of revenue. We have a booth outside that tells us more about our association. We are selling t-shirts and a lot of merchandise, so please stop by in one of the breaks. In his day job, Rao manages the cloud financial operations at Adobe. So please help me give a warm welcome to Rao.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So today, in today's fast-paced world, so AI, artificial intelligence, is no longer a tool. It is a strategic transformation. And more leaders, they are prioritizing the AI investments for strategic reasons for growth and innovation. So, and we have been hearing that from a number of our speakers, keynote speakers, as well as our panelists. So I want to take this opportunity to introduce an awesome panel. So none other than, so we have our AI and business strategy, transforming AI as an engine of transformation. So now I would like to take the opportunity to invite on stage Alexandru Costin, Vice President AI, Generative AI, Sam Hamilton, and Apoorva.
Thanks for having us.
So a little bit of, I will share the little bit of the introduction. So Alexandru Costin is the Vice President of Generative AI at Adobe. Alexandru leads a global team of over 300 researchers and engineers focused on developing and integrating Firefly generative AI models into Adobe's creative tools. He oversees AI platform, which includes curated training data, distributed training pipelines, and large-scale inference technologies for Adobe research, as well as applied research. He brings 20 years of experience in digital imaging, product strategy, cloud services, and ML. And prior to this, Adobe, he founded Interact, which was later acquired by Adobe, and he led Adobe Romania for over a decade. Welcome to have you. Thanks for having you, AC.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Sam Hamilton, he advises on data and AI at Visa and SDG Labs. Previously, he was a senior vice president and head of data and AI at Visa, and he led data and AI initiatives to drive value and innovation, overseeing the data and AI platform, analytics, data science, and AI ML. Before joining Visa, Sam led data technology at PayPal and served as the CTO at Shopping.com. Sam holds several patents in digital and mobile intelligence, and he is passionate about building impactful data and AI solutions. Welcome, Sam. Now, finally, session is moderated by one and only Apoorva Pandhi, managing partner of Zetta Ventures. Apoorva works closely with the technical founders, solving hard problems in AI, ML, data infrastructure, and cloud-native systems. He brings deep early-stage experience from his time at Lightspeed Ventures and Foundation Capital. Apoorva is also co-founded Funnel Labs and led GTM at Quid. An engineer from IIT Delhi and with an MBA from Wharton, Apoorva is passionate about helping founders scale from 0 to 1. Apoorva also helps early-stage technical founders to learn go-to-market basics from experienced professionals through his initiative, GTM for Dev. So welcome, Apoorva. So I will leave the expert panel, and thank you.
Rao, thanks for introducing us and also for the, hopefully this is an energizing panel after the short workout session that we just did. Sam and Alexandru, thank you for joining me. We typically don't think of Visa and Adobe in the same breath or in the same sentence, but yet it feels like the left brain and the right brain of the AI economy, just because on one hand, the likes of Visa and MasterCard, they just drive the payment rails for moving the money, and Adobe, on the other hand, is helping create the pixels to shape what we see. And when we see AI just kind of both disrupting as well as automating things on either side, one core piece that comes to mind is around safety, around trust, around data provenance. So that's the first theme that I'd love to tackle. So maybe, Sam, I'll start with you. As, at least on the payment side, we're seeing this move towards autonomy where agents will move away from like just not doing search, but also transacting on your behalf. As a result, like networks will end up owning a lot of data, transaction data, which could help personalize experiences for agents going forward. How do you envision providing that value, but at the same time protecting the data integrity, the privacy, and the provenance over there?
It's great. Thanks, Apoorva. Great question. It's a single word. If I could answer that, it will be trust. And if you think about that, take a payment. It's part of the commerce. So when I say commerce, it's a 4,000-volt phenomenon. It started back in 2000 BC as it recorded in Mesopotamia when they were trading barley with silver. So if you think about that, it has been the oldest phenomenon that you can think of. As you see, what is a commerce is you are exchanging value. And when you exchange the value, you have to have good control for the value that what you think is a high value. When the control goes a little bit not directly with you, that's where we need to substitute that with a trust that we have to bring them in. So if you look at that, we started with bartering goods to goods. And you found something valuable, somebody else found something else valuable, then we exchange that. Then we introduced what we call as a precious metal to exchange them. And everybody think that's what you have is valuable, then you went and bought that. Then we put the fiat currency. Then we brought in a little bit for the trust. The first, so far it is a physical security. That's what is the trust that gave you. Then fiat currency, the government issued some currency that helped you to do that. Then there is some other backing, which is a government in there. Then came in digital currency. You carried that in your plastic. And then came, well, e-commerce. We can do that on the wire, those things. Then the cyber security that came in. And then we come at m-commerce. The secure element into your phone was helpful for you to give that trust. Then came the whatever that you wanted to call it as agentic commerce now. Now, what you really need to have is not just the transaction data, but also in what context that you are making these things. And if you look at the financial institution, they got a concept of KYC. I know about the clients, I know about the consumer, so I can protect them. Now we need to know about your agent, maybe KYA. That we need to have that. That needs comes from all the transaction that you see, the behavior that you are seeing with the agent, making sure that the agent is loyal, and we have the guardrails in place, responsible use of data, there is no bias, there is no drift in this. Those are the things needs to come in. That's where the privacy, consent, and security, and all these pieces need to come together with the transaction data in the context to make that happen. So trust is the key that is going to drive.
Thank you for tying it with the history and KYA and guardrails. We'll come back to that topic because I'd love to dig into that piece. Alexandru, on the Adobe side, you've trained Firefly with commercially safe data. As you expand those data sets into richer data sets, which might look at maybe the data sets that creators own themselves, or when you go into like vertical categories and you're looking at vertical media, that does lead to this question of like whether those data sets would be commercially safe or not. What mechanisms are you putting in place to ensure that data provenance?
So trust is very important for our customers too, and I think from the beginning, and when we started doing generative AI at Adobe, we looked at what are the expectations from our customers, both creative professionals, enterprises, and we've decided to build models that are commercially safe, meaning that we train them on data we have rights to access to, and because of that, they cannot infringe trademark or IP, so they can be used in various enterprise environments, automation use cases, so without concerns that you might infringe somebody else's IP and getting sued. And I think in the creative world, that's very important that not only made the creative population understand that we have their best interest in mind and we're building these models without using their data from the internet, but also makes enterprises much more comfortable purchasing Firefly models and solutions because they know they can count on them without being sued. And I think trust is important for the other business units you have, like Document Cloud or PDF Acrobat Reader is investing in something we call the AI Assistant, where you want to maybe get a summary of the current document, when you need to trust the agent that it will summarize the document with the right attribution and without hallucination. We have another business unit, that's the digital marketing business unit, where we are trusted by many large enterprises with their commerce data or their customer engagement data, and making sure that we can build agents on top of that data that are isolated and used just for that enterprise is also part of that trust. Now, you asked the question about how do we add to our training data in a responsible way, and this is where we're investing in what we call both synthetic data, so we actually can generate data using AI from the data we have, derivatives to teach the model creative reasoning and other capabilities. But more importantly, data exists, as one of the previous panelists was sharing, in existing enterprises. Is just not exposed on the internet. So we have initiatives where we engage with large companies that have vast amounts of data, and we train models on top of our commercially safe models. They bring in their own data in an isolated environment, and we deep tune our models to their needs so they can get the best of both worlds. They can get commercially safe STEM model from us, like a base model. They add their own data, and now they have a perfect high quality model for a particular movie franchise, for example, and cases like that. So I think we continue to invest in expanding the training data for our models in a responsible way by using synthetic data and data partnerships.
Very interesting. And while provenance is the foundation, the frontier always ends up being autonomy. So I'd love to talk a bit about the arc of evolution of AI within each of your industries. Maybe we can start with Alexandru. Like we've seen historically, Sensei was great at auto-tagging. That was kind of like level one. And then you came to more like copilots, where Firefly was automating workflows as a copilot. And then now we're coming to like full stack creative agents that are doing work end to end, not just image generation, but also video generation going forward. Can you talk a bit about like what are the different agentic use cases today where you feel that things can be done in an automated way?
Yeah, so agentic is a very important part of our strategy, and we have today, we've been doing AI for a long time at Adobe, selecting objects in Photoshop and doing other like simple operations, then generating media with the Firefly models. But more recently, we've started to invest in intelligence, agentic intelligence, where you can talk to Photoshop. There are many innovations we've been publishing recently about how do we imagine a future where instead of having to learn how to use Photoshop or use agentic as a better help system, agentic actually will become the way you use the application itself. And we're looking both within single content generation and editing applications like Photoshop or Adobe Express in innovating in user interfaces that disappear under a simple prompt engagement or a microphone or UI that emerges only when needed. Like if I want to increase the brightness, instead of trying to explain in words how much, we will emerge an UI where you can drag a slider and have that best of both worlds, like a new human-computer interaction with voice and text, but also exact controls because we know our customers want to control the story in a perfect way. So we're seeing this world where human-computer interaction is evolving with this agentic interfaces, and we're trying to bring all the capabilities of existing tools and of our models and partner models exposed as MCP tools to those agentic interfaces, so the agent can make not only inside one application can script that application, but it can call different applications seamlessly for the user. So you don't have to know that a particular operation is better in Illustrator and one is better in Photoshop. The agent will know all of that and do it for you. So it's a very exciting space. Very important to maintain a high level of quality is also synthetic data in this space too, because we have a lot of deep knowledge at Adobe about what creative professionals want to do. So in order to teach a particular LLM to be perfect, agentic, perfectly for the expectations of creative professionals, because we're trying to build those tools for them, we are teaching them through synthetic data that we generate what would be the best edit, what would be the best action to call to make the experience seamless for the user.
And do you see synthetic data as one of the levers for also evals? Because I think in creatives, evals is the hardest thing. Like if you think of math and coding, those are more verifiable domains.
Yeah, we are employing designers to help us create these eval sets, because in creativity, hallucination can also be a feature, not a bug. And then there are a million possible good outcomes for a creative idea, and it's very hard to measure it with a reward model with AI. So what we're investing in synthetic data are evaluation sets where we both have the evaluation sets created by creative professionals, and B, they vote on outputs from these models, because it's very hard right now to discern good from bad. So we have an evaluation process, a scientific evaluation process, where humans are in the end the ones voting, because we want to make, like ChatGPT did with their bots, RLHF or RLAI, we want to reinforce the outputs of this agentic system and of the models to satisfy humans and make sure humans likes the output. So we're using some of those engagements to create high-quality synthetic data for reinforcement learning.
The benefit like Adobe has is distribution. So I think getting that feedback is easier. I think for a lot of other companies, getting human feedback gets expensive, it's low, it's high latency, it doesn't give you like the right feedback in time. So maybe a lot can be learned from the likes of Adobe in terms of what they are doing internally that can be translated to other applications outside as well. Sam, in your space, in the financial services space, again, it's on the other side of the brain, as we spoke about. There has been a lot of internal ML innovation historically, like we've built fraud models, there have been credit models, a lot of that have been built in-house, and then there's been entire workflows around dispute management that are more around like co-pilot kind of workflows. And now we're talking about agentic commerce where like agents should be able to transact on the user's behalf. What do you see the spectrum of pure agentic workflows in your field?
Well, Apoorva, I don't see that much different from how we look at the car today. And we can get into the car, and I don't know how many of us would enjoy doing the stick shift, especially on 101 traffic.
I love driving that.
Right. And so automatic helped us there. That's a basic thing that we have automated that with the e-commerce, m-commerce, and all this kind of stuff. That's the basic thing. And the payment system was able to handle human interactions of that. The next thing comes as the co-pilot. And now we have an automated car with a co-pilots in. You are comfortable leaving that some of the things to car to drive itself, and you get in where it is really important, where you want to, especially on the traffic, when you wanted to go to the next lane without not waiting for that, you will take over and do that and exit and on ramps and off ramps and do that. That's, for me, it is a co-pilot.
Right.
Then it comes to an autopilot. Autopilot is, you let it go. So the same thing can do that if you take payment as as a task, you could do some portions of it, parts of it. And some of the things that I see that happening is that some of the autonomous work, monitoring work, people are not going to search there and see where I want to find the object or the item that I need with the same configuration that I'm looking for. Instead of hunt and pick, do that through the searches, people would expect the agents to do the work and bring back to that. Now, the biggest thing every buyer, that's a remorse they have once they bought, is that, did I get the best price? Did I get the best value for this? That's where the agent could come and help as well. Go scout the whole world and see, get me the best offer that I could find. That's where the things comes in. And the third, easy low-hanging fruit would be post-purchase work, whether it is buying insurance for that, registering for that, those kind of whole bunch of slew of things can be done. So there are some low-hanging fruits over there that will get automated very quickly. Then the complex tasks would come in, and that's where the progression that I'm seeing.
And what's the trade-off between like owning the end-to-end piece? Because as a network, you could own a lot. You can own the end agent as well, or you could also partner with. I think we've seen networks align a lot with AI labs and also agents that are actually working with the end consumers. So to what extent do you own the end consumer, and to what extent do you stick with the merchants? Like, what's that trade-off for a network, so given that you own the data?
The commerce, by definition, is a network.
Right.
That's more than one party involved in that.
Right.
This is all about becoming convenient for the consumer, how you want it to delight the consumer. That's where we need to bring them in, that whatever the party that comes in, whatever the data that comes in, as long as we can do that within the guardrail as what needs to be done, and the data can be used in the right places, I would expect that to be an ecosystem rather than a single player owning everything.
Right.
And it's going to be a lot more, even today, if you look at that commerce, it is an ecosystem.
Right.
It's continued to be there, and we are adding one more entity over there, which is an agent. The difference in this particular case is that agent could be the consumer's agent, that could be the, it could be the commerce agent done by the merchant. It could be the financial institution's agent. There are multiple agents involved in that. That's an orchestration needs to happen. So that's where there is a standards and collaboration needs to happen to make that to be successful.
And just to double click on that, right? I think one question that often founders ask, and I'm investing in founders and a lot of founders in the audience, to what extent do organizations, like you worked at PayPal and Visa and all, to what extent do you build internally, and to what do you buy externally? And what would be those areas where founders can look up to you and say, look, this is the areas that we should approach Sam for? Sure.
So I think that's a very good question. This is a kind of age-long question that we'd ask: buy versus build. I look at that slightly differently. What is the roadmap for the company that I'm working in, and what does that roadmap look like? What I'm going to do? Can buy accelerate that roadmap? So can I bring in something which has been already built, which has been already proven, to accelerate my roadmap? So I look at that being acceleration of roadmap rather than buy versus build. There's multiple reasons for that. I can get the capability quickly to the consumers and clients, and time to market that we are talking about. I can have the better experience. It's all about the experience and better protection for them. So that's all the things that we need to look at that. So look at that roadmap, and then how you are going to be accelerating as a founder or a company that you are coming in. Now, some of them are non-negotiable. I'll tell you what our non-negotiables are: security, availability, scale that you want it to be, and responsible use of data and AI, and all the regulations that need to be compliance and regulatory compliances. Those are non-negotiable. Rest of the things are, is it an accelerator? That's the question that I'm
intrigued. Could you give one example of maybe an external company that you might have worked at to kind of accelerate your roadmap, like you described?
Yeah, if you look at that, some of the companies that we either I worked with them or ended up part of the company, which is more of if there is a better way to do the things that we are trying to do. Say it's a better protection that they can provide for a segment of the consumers that we have or the clients that we have, or is there a company that's operating really well in a regional space? Those are the kind of examples of companies that we can bring them in. And also, it's not only on the end-to-end system, it's also about the tools that we can bring them in. And for example, right now, if you look at that LLMs, you don't want to build an LLM if it is a large LLM. It's a big one that is available, or many of them available to bring them in. So it is not about exclusively one tool or one system. It's the many things that will come in as well.
Makes sense. Alexandru, you are, I'm sure, you took the intentional path of training models internally, and now you're blending the models with external models as well, which makes sense based on what Sam said. But being a buyer, as well as also seeing from the vantage point of being a seller to enterprises, like what do you see as kind of the buy versus build approach for yourself?
Yeah, I've been at Adobe for, including the acquisition of my company, 25 years actually, quite a long tenure. So I would say I'm a failed serial entrepreneur because I kind of only did it once, but
found a home.
Yeah, I mean, it was more of an acqui-hire, but in my trajectory at Adobe, I was part of the team acquiring Omniture, which is now our digital marketing business unit, part of the team acquiring Fotolia, which is our Adobe stock business unit right now. And I bought maybe 5 smaller companies, including some from India with IIT CTOs. But I do think when we look at the generative AI space, and maybe for the founders in the room right now, and there was the previous talk about the commoditization of some of the inference commoditization, for example. And we do think it's a very crowded space between open source models, many hyperscalers investing in these models, companies like us investing in models, and the big labs. It's a very crowded space. So the question for a startup is, how do you build differentiated value, either to grow as a company or to have an exit? And I think the key is to try to stay away from these race to the bottom areas that are very capital intensive, and training foundational models is one of them. It is right now, to some extent, leading to a lot of amazing supply on the market that we benefit from. This is why we're integrating all these models and customers are benefiting from. But we're wondering how sustainable that is, and if you're a startup, moving higher up, as high as you can, closer to the customer, and not compete for these commoditized spaces would be my recommendation, because building that type of unique customer insight, building either a revenue stream that is growing, which will make it a standard acquisition, or some type of a novel, differentiated type of control capability, this would make it interesting for Adobe. But if you look at Adobe's history in acquisitions, even I think Photoshop was an acquisition for Adobe. We have many products we built internally and many key acquisitions we made along the way. So we're very interested in continuing to look outside at startups that complement what we do in ways that are not, again, competing for the commoditized spaces.
And beyond acquisitions, when early stage companies are looking for like design partners and early customers, how early would Adobe go in terms of like talking to startups? And because I think one thing that you mentioned was being closer to the end user, which does mean some insight around user behavior, some insight around revenue. So I'm assuming product market fit.
Yeah. We are sometimes investing. I'm not the one responsible. We have an M&A group and a BD group that we're having a lot of engagement with startups, even in early stages. So if you're interested, I can connect you to David Popovich, who's leading that group at Adobe, that I work with closely for the deals we close, but he would be the one and his team engaging with startup at an early stage.
Makes sense. One key question that's on everyone's mind, and everyone is talking about it, but no one has clear answers around that, is org structures in the age of AI. And both of your organizations have been at the frontier. They've made a lot of progress internally. So very keen to hear from both of you in terms of, not just in terms of structuring how AI orgs should be structured internally, but how does the role of employees change? And it's a very nebulous question. It's a high-level question, but maybe you can help me break it down based on how you're thinking about it internally.
I'm happy to start and then give you, Sam, the opportunity. But we've decided from the beginning of our investment in AI to have a very focused vertical strategy in how we build AI, because at the time, 3 years ago when we started the Firefly initiative, there was no good model out there to satisfy the needs from our customers, to be commercially safe, to be trained responsibly, to be high quality. So we've decided to do it ourselves because we were investing for a decade or more in our Adobe research organization. But Adobe research organization was operating in a more of an academic, publishing papers, helping the world way. So we've created an applied research organization under me that had both the data platform, the training platform, the inference platform, which we've built our own. There was no good inference platform 3 years ago, and the foundational models training in a single organization, leaving the Adobe research to build applications on top, and many other application teams like the Photoshop team to tap into. So we've decided in our first phase, because this is continuously being revisited and thought through, is to have this very vertical, what we call an AI superhighway organization that was charted and invested into to create these foundational models and take them to market. And we have tens of billions of assets that have been edited with the models we've created. But organizational structures, I mean, this world is moving so fast. We're continuously looking, is this the best way we should organize? Because there are frictions, centralization, matrix management, all of those are leading to a velocity that maybe is not the best velocity the rest of the world is moving at. So we're continuously reevaluating how to change that structure from an AI delivery and AI models perspective. But more importantly, Adobe is a 30,000 people organization. The question we're asking and we're investing into is like, how is AI changing every function in Adobe, and how should we look at that? Because there's the easy way of looking at AI systems at helping engineers, and we're a software company, so let's create more lines of code. But I was having a discussion recently with my boss, Eli Greenfield, the CTO, about the opportunity of actually using AI in critical thinking when we do the product strategy or the business unit strategy, or when we create a product definition, instead of using AI to generate an infinitely long PRD that nobody will read or engineers will take and actually summarize into some bullets so they know what to do. How can we actually change each function, design, product management, so they, at their turn, use AI the right way, use AI to ask the right questions and make the right decisions, or maybe build prototypes as early to validate product market fit, versus just using it to create, to just ask the engineers to write more code, which I think would be the equivalent of faster horses when we have this bicycle of the mind that should be used at every level in the organization. So I think the opportunity for all software companies and all companies in general is to rethink, and this is a process that will take some time because changing people nature is hard and people behaviors, but rethink how to structure each function and where to use AI and how to use AI thoughtfully in each of those areas to make the organization function more efficiently, instead of just looking at it as a faster software generation machine.
Super helpful. And just one quick follow-up on that before I move to Sam. Has that changed the need for any specific persona or role? Because you're trying to like imbue AI in every business unit. Does that mean you're hiring more AI product managers, or like are you hiring like more AI engineers? Like what has changed in terms of what your highest priority is?
I think the AI should become, it's like the internet. It's not like you call a product manager an internet product manager because they use the internet to do better market research or talk to their customers on Zoom. So we think it is not leading to new job codes at Adobe, because we think AI is just another skill that should be embedded and infused in all the functions. The actual job description of the function will be the one that change. I think it's still going to be a product manager. It's just the question is, how is the product manager going to use AI to become a 10x product manager versus just, and I think that's still an open question. So there's a lot of opportunity there.
So I think Apoorva is going to be bold, agile, robust guardrails. That needs to be the organizational structure. Mm-hmm. I think the organizational structure, what we have today, is going to be the biggest blocker for us to make progress with the AI. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that because the current structure, it could be hierarchical, it could be siloed, it could be like a pyramid. I think there are 9 different organizational forms that people think about. I'm not an organizational structure specialist. One of people here may be able to explain that better, from the hierarchical to helix model, whatever that model that you have. All of them were coming from the industrial age. This is the AI age. It needs to be done at the AI speed. So it's really important that we need to be taking it faster, to your point, making the decision faster, trying out differently, iterative, try that very quickly to see what is the value that we get. If not, move on, what is that we need to do. So for that needs to be structured. The guardrail that comes in, that's where the responsible use comes in. We need to make sure that we are compliant with all the regulations that we are working on, and we have the data that has been managed well, and we have the processes in place to monitor them continuously. All these things needs to be there. That's what I'm talking about, robust guardrails. And if we can put them in, and also duplication of work, that's what I'm seeing in some organizations. That's where the platform needs to be in the common place, where all the applications and applications of AI need to leverage the platform that is in common place.
Hub and spoke.
And it will be hub and spoke is a very good way of looking at that. And it has to be a hub and the spoke, done it in an agile way with a robust guardrail. That would make that to be successful.
Super helpful. As you guys know, I have a bunch of questions, but we've run out of time, not out of questions. But I'll open up. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you everyone over here as well. I'd just open it up to the audience if anyone had 1 or 2 questions. We've run out of time, but we can take 1 or 2 questions.
So on here.
I'll try to tell them. Thanks. We just have 1 question, please. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you so much for a good panel discussion. My question is, I like the word, the sentence that you see your design partner's roadmap and then see how your product can fit in to help them achieve what they want. The question is, what would be the right manner to approach a corporate customer on converting their manufacturing unit using AI products, maybe in a hybrid manner, and then going for a complete, artificially intelligent factory. So we are dealing with edge intelligence, and we are talking to a design partner. So I just want to learn a better way of communicating with this customer.
I can start that. There are a few ways that I have seen that working really well. One is the company's approach. Most of the companies that we have right now, they have venture arm. They come and say, hey, I am doing something that could accelerate your roadmap. Here is what I'm doing. What do you think of that? So that end to be a venture. When the venture comes in, it's not just about the money, the data that you get access to, the system that you get access to, the exposure that you have with the client and consumer, and the global footprint that you get to see. That's going to accelerate. It's going to be a win-win in that way. The second part would be, well, I'm well funded, but I have a capability that I want to have you as a design partner that we can work together. That's option number 2. Option number 3 is I have a mature product, you have a gap there, or you have the roadmap that I can accelerate here, let me come in as a partner. So if you look at that venture, design partner, product partner, then finally come as a vendor. I'm providing some capability and services, let me come in as a vendor. So my preference for the entrepreneurs and the companies to approach is in the order that I have mentioned. And 1 and 2 are the great way to be a win-win on the both ends. Hope that makes sense.
One thing to add, well, something we're doing right now with companies that are pursuing their own transformation towards AI organizations is to deploy, and this is a term that maybe is overused right now, but forward deploy engineers. So we at Adobe have a group that has basically researchers, because we want to help them both with AI and also workflow experts that go in and embed themselves with the company that is looking for the transformation and try to understand on the field what are the biggest problems they face that can be solved with AI. And we basically design the product together because we think that's closest to where the problem exists. So that's another way. I'm not sure if it's fully answering your question, but deeper engagement than just a software vendor deployment seems to be what work in this very dynamic landscape when technology changes so fast, and also what can be solved, there's not a full understanding on the receiving side of what the technology can do for them until basically having these embedded engineers working hand in hand with the client.
Advanced research partnership, that's what you're talking about.
Great, thank you so much. I know we're way out of time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Apoorva.